I am. Welcome everybody. I'm going to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me or don't know me well enough yet. My name is Dr. Sharon Shachaf. In my academic history background, I was I still am, right? Once a global media scholar, always a global media scholar. But I left academia in 2017, 18. We all know that academic years have 2 years attached. And I started Academic Writers Unblock. It's a support community on Facebook that I think all of you should be familiar with. I offer coaching and mentoring and support. I try to really balance between doing a lot of free support for this beautiful community that's year-round, and also paid workshops. I am going to introduce more information about the upcoming workshop later in the call, but let me just quickly announce a couple of things about that, and then we'll start. The new workshops are designed to fit the needs that you guys shared on the polls. It was really nice. I had like 400 people, not 400 people, like 200 people voting 400 times on the needs and challenge poll that I did right around the new year. Thank you so much, everybody, for letting me know what you have going on. And I decided, you know what? I don't feel like many people are currently ready to start like a 7-week or a 12-week or a full year kind of workshop. Why don't I put together a quick 1-day intensive affordable workshop? I know that because I've done a lot of these workshops actually invited on campuses during Zoom, during COVID, so on Zoom, not on campus, but I do these. Those are really powerfully unblocking events. So the first half of the event, we gather together, we bring our coffee, our tea. These workshops are going to be, you could sign up for either on the 8th or on the 9th. So it's next Tuesday or next Monday. Sorry, next Monday or next Tuesday from 11 to 4:30. These are in East Coast USA time. So what happens is at 11, we gather, we bring our coffee, tea, whatever it is. We give 15 minutes of kind of introductions, and then we're going to delve right in. And the first part is going to be my signature famous creative blocks or tackling your academic writer's block workshop. I know that pretty quickly, within an hour or two of going through just reminding ourselves what writer's blocks are, what the science and the psychology, well, psychology is a science, well, brain science and psychology and all of that, of underlying the block, why we get blocked, really understanding the dynamic that goes into getting blocked is pretty liberating in and of itself. People start feeling better right away. So we're going to do this to support that. You are getting not for free, but included in the price of the workshop, which is $350 or $349, right? Or today you can get, there are 4 discounted, but you can have $50 knocked off, and then it's $299. The first 4, I'm going to release the shopping cart after we're done here, and the first 4 people. So there's 2 discounted spots for Monday and 2 discounted spots for Tuesday. So you can grab that. That's going to be $299 for 5 hours with me that promise to leave you unburdened with your block, very clear about what it is that you need to do, and ready to go and do it. Because part 2 of the workshop, right? So we're going to do the unblocking thing. You're going to get 3 of my pre-recorded lessons about the writer's block. Some of you are familiar with those. Those of you already took foundational workshop. These are the pre-recorded lessons from foundational workshop. I would ideally want people to be able to watch them before we meet for our workshop, but you will have forever access to them. So it's not mandatory. We're going to do the workshop part until lunch. Then we're going to go to lunch. And when we come back from lunch, we're going to do a writing session we're going to use my, I want to hope famous, especially like for this group, maybe famous, maybe notorious hack that is called the topic, question, action, conclusion act. I know it's not a very sexy name, but it's a very powerful way for people to get really clear about the structure of their paper or the dissertation chapter or the full third book that you're trying to write to get, to be a full professor, whatever it is. And we will do this in a group setting. We will have until 4 from lunch. So I think it's going to be 11. I will look into the details more a little bit later, but it's going to be 11 through 11:15. We're going to be gathering 11:15. I think till 1:30 is going to be the unblocking, and then we're going to take a lunch break. When we come back, we're going to roll up our sleeve and actually write together in a guided way. And I will kind of guide you in hacking your research paper argument and its structure and its style through a very organized kind of set of questions and tools. And then we're going to open this up and get feedback from one another. I've done this, again, not so much on Academic Writers Unblock. I've done this half-day intensive workshop when I'm invited on campuses, and it has been very successful so far. So without further ado, let me start with the coaching for today. So, no, I'm lying. With further ado, quick reminder, right? So we're going to do the coaching call. If you are watching this on Facebook Live, please go and join the Zoom if you want to be a part of this more interactive session. And at the end of this, there will be time for questions and comments or requests about the coming workshops. I am kind of jumping in. I usually don't start with talking about paid opportunities, but because I know that you guys are starting the semester, and I know that, well, this is kind of getting me into the next thing that I wanted to do, but like, basically, I'm assuming a lot of you are at the moment in time where you thought you were going to get so much done during the break, and now the break is over, and you're already preparing, and you already have to start your prep for your classes, and you're like, oh, shoot. I didn't get as much done as I thought I needed to, etc. during the break. So I did decide to kind of go against what is standard practices, which usually you give people like a month or even 3 months to learn about a workshop and decide to join a paid workshop, in favor of trying to meet your needs quickly where you are. So the workshops are starting. You could take a half-day intensive workshop Monday at 11 East Coast time, USA, or Tuesday at 11. So that's January 8th or 9th. So this is why I have to kind of jump in and start with the workshops. There will be more opportunities. Again, quick reminder, their workshop is $349. There are discounted spots for $299. You're getting 5 hours of both unblocking and then guided writing. You're getting 3 pre-recorded lessons. You're getting a designated workbook. You're getting a lot of not mandatory, but amazing, short, inspiring readings from people like Julia Cameron or Lorraine Herring, or all of my favorite. I love books about writing, right? So you're getting a lot of things. You're getting a syllabus of my favorite books about the writing process. And what else are you getting? I feel like you're getting a lot of stuff. So, you're getting forever access to a designated private Facebook group that has all of these resources. So what else? Oh, you're getting all of this recorded, and the sessions will be recorded and available on Facebook. So whenever you feel stuck again, you can go back and watch it again. So you're really getting a lot. All right. So that was the quick news. And as I said, again, I will be opening the shopping cart. I will be sharing with you the link for this at the end of this presentation, or whatever. It's not a presentation, it's a coaching call. But I want to now start by, and how do I indicate that we're starting? Or maybe we stretch again. All right, so all of us have joined. Let's do another round of stretching. Now I'm going to do side stretches for my shoulders. And I want to welcome you again to come into your body and just be very present. And here is where I wanted to really start today's coaching call. I was going back and forth on whether or not to address the situation outside of, just us wanting to do academic writing. And I decided there is no way I can ignore the elephant in the room. I have an accent, and this accent is Israeli. So all of you know that my little, where I'm originally from, I live in the United States. We are in the midst of some of the most difficult times. I know there are a lot of Jews and Israelis who attend these calls in my community, but even more than that, we have people from all over the world, all of the religion. I love and adore the diversity of this community. I love and adore people of all walks of life, all religions, all persuasions. Here is the one thing I decided we can kind of all meet on. I want to start with a secular prayer. I'm spiritual, but not religious, for peace and justice and the sanctity of all lives. I'm going to start crying. I don't want to start crying. Since October 7th, it has been one of the most trying times in my personal life, in the life of, the people I love and care about. And you might be surprised at the extent to which the horrendous acts on both sides of this hurts the soul of the people I love, and even the people who don't love me. You know what I mean? It's the senseless cycle of violence that I've always throughout my life was committed to try to fighting and to bring to an end. So again, without getting into all of our opinions, it's not about that. I just want to remind everybody that this is a very, this space is intended as an inclusive space, as a loving space, as a healing space. And I know a lot of us are suffering, and a lot of us are in pain, and a lot of us are worried about every single person that is in pain, that is suffering. So join me in just this for just 1 second. We're just going to send out a big kind of loving, welcoming light for everybody who's here and everybody who's suffering and who's in pain. And of course, we're going to pray again, whatever, religious or secular prayer you practice, for the quick recovery for everybody who is wounded or hurt. Let everybody who's displaced come home. And let the world just stop with this craziness, the divisiveness, the hate, the Islamophobia, the anti-Semitism. Enough with all of that. I hope that our community can really hold a space that transcends all of that pain and can make something good out of it. All right, I said it. I was not going to just not, ignore it and not say it. I will say that I think that I have seen in both my businesses, because, I have another coaching business, very consistently since these events happen, everybody that's affected, and some people are affected that are not personally affected, but which is, very interesting, but it's really not leaving a lot of people unaffected. I don't see that is helping anybody right. Obviously, if you are displaced, if your world is turned upside down, if you are worried about loved ones who are in the affected areas, I just want to start by saying this. It would not be normal to not struggle with your writing. It would not be normal to feel like, oh, I can just go on doing the thing I was going to do. I'm going to see if there are comments on the Facebook Live as well. It's just not how this works. And I'm going to try to address this a little bit, but it's going to affect the burnout. It's going to affect, it's going to affect all of these different things that are going to compound your writer's block. But I think, and this is maybe where I want to start, and I'm inviting you to write comments in the chat. I don't know what is it about Facebook Live that doesn't let you see the comments that people are writing? But anyways, so please come on the Zoom if you want to participate in it. I'm going to put the chat up here, and then here is what I want to just kind of start with. It feels to me like a lot of the people I am working with, and guys, I got to tell you, I'm swamped. Like my existing clients who, have worked through their blocks, a lot of them are kind of back in square one, feeling really blocked, really stuck. So if you're struggling with this, you're not alone. And what I see time and again, the reason that I see, or where we really can interfere and help people get unstuck, and it's not even stuck, it's disrupted. Yeah, that's what I want to say. It's like it's disruption. There's being stuck because like the general shit that you have going on in your career, and it's not aligning. Academia as a shit show and all of that, right? And then there's disruption. So for a lot of people, the events that are happening now in the world are disruptive, kind of like what we have gotten to practice with COVID, right, in 2020. So it's a little bit different. It's really important to kind of name, right, when you have been disrupted, that you guys probably are guessing, those of you who have been working with me, right? It's very important to remember the basic fire drill that they teach kids in school in the United States. And it goes something like that. You got to learn how to stop, drop, and roll, right? So they teach kids that when they are on fire, they have to first realize that they are on fire, right? Like, because people start running around on fire, and then, the fire would not be extinguished. Sorry. So when you're on fire and you're not acknowledging it, what does that look like? What I mean by that is a lot of my clients contact me, within the midst of disruption and chaos and pain and untold trauma, right? Yet they feel like they somehow should be able to quickly move through it and go back to writing their project. Of course, that doesn't happen, right? Because they're not letting themselves have the moment to say, I'm on fire. This is painful. I'm having a lot of emotions. I am in pain. People I know are in pain. I lost people, etc., etc., etc. So this is the first step. We got to stop. We got to just give ourselves the loving care. We got to drop and roll, right? Why do they tell them to do that? That this is how you can get the fire taken care of. So before you can hope to reestablish a pattern that worked before you were disrupted, there simply is no way around a stage where you stop, drop, and roll. You just extinguish the fire. But then what, right? Then you have to find a way to love your writing process all over again. How do we do that, right? You have to learn or remind yourself how to celebrate baby steps, all right? So this is true for, anybody that gets disrupted in their writing practice, right? Not just when the whole world looks like it's about to tilt into the Third World War or whatever, right? But if you can learn to be humble with this and not put on yourself, on your little inner part of you that's your writer, which is the youngest part, right? The creative part of your psyche. It's like a 5-year-old child, right? If you can allow that part to heal, if you can actually be a part of, right, you can tap into an older self kind of voice that you have inside to bring that healing, wiser part of you, maybe even, right, imagine, right? And so now I'm going into some of the tools that we practice in my workshop. So sometimes we do written meditations where when people are struggling with emotion, etc., they can create like two characters, like your inner writer, your child self, and then maybe even you as a grandparent, right? Like someone older you that has seen students and children through this, that have gone through the moment that is very painful, and already, and that is ever loving, right? Because here's another thing I want to remind us: when we start struggling with our writing, we are often not very self-loving. So oftentimes what happens is that we start really giving a lot of agency to the voice inside that's very critical, that is very harsh, that is very kind of almost mean. And it's it's creating this spiral that gets out of control, right? So all of these tools that I'm kind of mentioning in passing here are good for when we have disruption, when we have pain, when we have suffering, where we have grief. The first step is you got to stop and just say, okay, this is happening. I have to address this. And with self generosity, give yourself the time that you need to actually stabilize, right? Just like when you come to the ER with a whatever, a gunshot, whatever. All of these metaphors are not fun in this day and age, but right, but the ER people start by stabilizing the patient. You have to start by stabilizing, and only then you're going to be able to operate or do any other kind of actions that you need in order to solve the long-term issues. All right, so this is where I am, this is where I have been, and this is where a lot of my ongoing established clients have been in the midst of all of the events that are happening, and with the divisiveness and the stuff that goes on campus, campuses all over this country, the division, the I don't even know what to call it anymore, but the failure to come together to address some issues that I feel can be addressed together rather than through these divisive political, and of course the political gains that people honestly on all sides of the political spectrum are happy to make off, especially off of academia. So I think we really want to maybe watch for the way we are letting outside forces like that kind of manipulate academia, not to the better of academia's inherent mission or inherent best interest. So that's just, I'm throwing this out here. All right, so let's actually try to see if we can open this up. So those of you who are on the Zoom, and I can't quite share this on the Facebook. So again, if you're watching this on Facebook, I probably will close this in a short while and just invite everybody to come on the Zoom. But I would really love to hear from some of the people who are on the conversation. And you guys can write it in the chat if you want, to let me know, what is kind of front and center for you at this time, in terms of your overall stress as it pertains to your academic writing. What are some of the people who are on here experiencing? What are you guys? And again, I'm looking at the chat. Somebody, let me see if they're okay. So people are still asking that are on the chat if they can go on the Facebook, and you can absolutely do that going through the Academic Writers Unblock private group on Facebook. All right. So is there anybody here that wants to come up and ask questions or just share their experiences? And I know that this is it's live on YouTube, and it's I see some people are kind of contemplating. Susan, not necessarily.
Well, okay, I've been dealing with all of the above, as you know, plus my father's death close to a month ago.
I am so
And
sorry to hear. And I'm going to quickly repeat, although I think the sound probably is translating to the Facebook Live, but Susan has shared that she has been dealing with all of the above, as well as, and this really breaks my heart, losing her father very recently. So it's grief compounded by grief. Yeah. Go ahead, Susan.
So, I mean, I guess my thought, and I mean, this is how I've felt for in a way, kind of a second time from October 7th of kind of referring to the Jewish practice of Shiva, whether it was literally sitting Shiva for my dad or that first week after sitting in front of my laptop and crying from what I read, but just giving into that kind of intense grief. And I mean, just, yeah, pushing aside what you can't think about and then just gradually moving out of that and trying to, at least for me, to kind of sublimate things. I am somewhat reprioritizing my projects and thinking of what good Jewish history I can write in the service of fighting anti-Semitism, kind of
I,
back to my way of using history to make sense of things.
I love this. Well, hang on. I'm gonna stop. I want to recap, Susan, and also like zoom in on something that you said, because you're really hitting on one of my, I don't even want to say fixes, because we can't really fix this, but ways out. So Susan was saying, she's dealing with this compounded grief. Susan writes, she's a historian, independent scholar, and she writes about labor history, and specifically Jewish, not only, but Jewish labor history. She's a very important and fascinating project on the history of Jewish labor movement in Chicago, because most of the emphasis is kind of on New York, but she writes about this kind of like American side story, right? Just Chicago. It's really beautiful and important work. And so what Susan was saying was she was trying to find a way to reprioritize. So in the midst of personal and collective grief, trying to find a way to reprioritize her project. And this is where I'm zooming in, Susan, because I really love that you said that, right? Asking myself, what kind of history, of Jewish history in your case, right, can I write that will, at this point in time, be a meaningful contribution to ongoing conversations and the way they shifted? And I love that. And this is kind of my, I like to have simple, quick takeaways. So this is the one thing I've seen that worked with across the clients I've been working with throughout this crazy painful time. I'm still holding my heart. My heart is black and blue for all of it. Please believe me, all of it, really, on all sides of it, because it's such a horrendous world event. Here is the rub. I know I'm like, I'm building up to it. Meaning, finding the meaning. Now I know we're not inventing this. There is the very famous book. Now, of course, the name is, it's not Primo Levi, it's Viktor Frankl's book, right? A Man in Search of Meaning, I think it's called, or a man, Adam Mechapes Mashmuot in Hebrew, and I read it in Hebrew, so excuse me that, right? And this guy survived Auschwitz. And the takeaway, how do you survive? How do you go through grief? How do you go through horrendous trauma and recover? And the ongoing kind of answer keeps being, it is when you are unable to find the meaning in what you're doing that you're going to get stuck in depression, stuck in anxiety, stuck in trauma. Now, I'm not trying to dismiss if you're traumatized by a violent kind of life-changing horrible event. You have to address this trauma in a professional manner. Like, this is not like, you've lost somebody, just find the meaning in your work. No, right? There are some steps, but the key, and this is what I would have you guys kind of, and I don't know if you people who are on the Zoom, you can tell me on chat if we want to be doing some writing, but if we were in a workshop right now, what I would have you guys do is take a minute or two, even, or just in bullet points, and kind of, or not in bullet points, but just write a little bit about whether or not you had lost that sense of connection with the meaning, the significance, the importance of your work, or not. And if you can kind of, I'm getting this visual, I'm a very visual thinker, like if you can locate the pulsating kind of electric current that is kind of animating your desire to do the work that you're doing in the midst of all the noise. Here's a little practical tool, that I've started doing to be able to do that. And that got me out of this. And you guys can comment on this. After the first couple of, I think, months, like honestly, it took me 2 months to just get out of the shock and all of that, the grief. And what I started implementing was a very, very simple thing. And I can't demonstrate it because I'm on my phone, but I took my phone every morning and I shut it the F down. Okay. And that's what I did. I gave myself 1 hour. Like I would ask my husband, hey, did something horrible happen? Like I need to know, right? But even that only after my first coffee, right? But I would try to give myself even just 30 minutes, first thing in the morning, where I allow myself to be, but pay attention. It wasn't like 30 minutes without my phone, make myself right. No. It's not that. It's 30 minutes without my phone. And by the way, it ended up growing to 2 hours. So now this is where I'm at. Woo-hoo! 2 hours without my phone first thing in the morning. Not starting some freaking fight with somebody that I don't even know on Facebook. Not, going on the New York Times or the whatever website to see if the world, none of that. And during that time, I really tried to do what I call process time, which is, for me, it's like free flow writing, or, I always show my like, look at how beautiful this is during the worst of it. And I'm going to show the Facebook people as well. And I was like, what is going on that I'm creating these beautiful symmetric shapes and everything inside is so crazy. But I actually figured out at the end that, here's another one, that for me, when the world is kind of falling apart in a chaotic mess and pitted into darkness, it's like a little corner of the world that I can make beautiful and that I can make kind of cohere. And that's what I wanted to do. So I didn't fight it. So I started back my writing practice. I started back my creative practice. For me, the stuff I do in my business and with my clients is a big part of my creative practice. And I was able to go back and slowly kind of recreate my space where I'm allowed to just have just my voice, just my noise, not all of the outside noise. And I know it sounds like maybe very trivial, but have you tried? If you are stuck right now and you've not tried this, I would definitely encourage you to give this a try. Susan Tiffany is writing on the Facebook that she's sorry. I think she's very sorry for your loss. I think we're probably having a delay on the Facebook because let me try to see if this works. Yeah, I might have just. Oh, there you go. So I think there was a lot of stuff going on the Facebook, but it wasn't showing up for some reason because, anyways, the Facebook seems jacked up. All right, friends. So this is the first thing that, and again, Susan, I know I kind of like took off from what you had shared, but I want to say a couple, so going back to what Susan said, and I want to just highlight a little bit of this more. This has to do with like the energy of struggling for meaning. I think the energy of struggling for meaning can be a very animating power in our creative process. But when we feel like the struggle itself does not give meaning to our existence, this is where I think we fall into depression, right? So what I'm trying to offer us is a way to kind of rewrite and readdress that question of struggle. If you are struggling and you are in pain, right? Step one, stop, drop, and roll, and just stabilize, right? And take time off. And then, but when you're trying to restart, a lot of my clients, what I see that happens is they try to restart by trying to get themselves scared about a deadline. Now I've lost 2 months, and now I have to find a way because, right? To go back into this idea of you writing to satisfy an outside force. I have to meet my deadline. But that does not help people get unstuck. They try to scare themselves into getting unstuck, but instead, what happens is that it puts them in a struggle that is meaningless because our creative inside part. Tiffany came on the Zoom. Yay, welcome. So I don't know if I'm still live on Facebook at all, but thank you, Tiffany, for joining. All right, so what I was saying is we had crisis, we stopped, drop, and roll. We gave ourselves a little bit time, whatever it is. You remember your COVID strategies, right? You took walks, you connected with family and friends, whatever it is, you took some time, but then you're starting back up on your work. Put yourself in the correct struggle, the kind of struggle that's going to align with feeling that what you do is meaningful. If you put yourself against the struggle with a deadline, that shit's not going to animate your curiosity about your writing or your passion. Or as Susan said, try to find a project where you can work through the new questions, even if they're horribly painful questions. That kind of stuff would help you. Starting something new that maybe kind of aligns with figuring out, okay, I feel like my scholarship or whatever it is I was doing is not meaningful right now. I will share with you that, early on when this started, and especially when all of the divisiveness around this in academia started, I had a crisis very similar to that in my creativity with interfacing with this group. I was like, how can I hold a loving, encouraging space when academia right now is such a dumpster fire? But it didn't take me very long because my clients were knocking on my door needing the help, and that was very useful in helping me realize no, there is still room for a loving, inclusive community that tries to divide these to bridge these divides, of course, and not to divide these. All right, friends, so I'm gonna probably finish the Facebook Live right now. So as I do that, because I'm not sure what is going on with that feed anyways, so friends on Facebook, I will be inviting you again to join the Zoom if you're watching this. We'll probably be here. It is now, God, I don't even know. It is now 2:16. We will definitely be here for the next 15 minutes or so, maybe even more, because I'm just going to open this up, but I'm going to stop the Facebook Live. There are 2 workshops, Monday and Tuesday. They are affordable, and there are available discounts further to make them available, but you got to act fast. After this call, I am going to post on the group and send out on the email and in all of the usual ways the link for the landing page where you can join this workshop. I really hope many of you join it. Don't worry if it ends up not working out for you. There will be more opportunities, but I really hope that a lot of you would join us. So this is for the Facebook people. I'm signing off. Goodbye. Love you. Join us on the Zoom if you still wish to participate. All right. So done with the Facebook. I'm going to also end on the live stream on YouTube. So if anybody's watching this on YouTube as well, feel free to go to Academic Writers Unblock to find the event description or if you signed up to my email list, you got a lot of emails with the Zoom link, and join us on the Zoom. Otherwise, I will be putting the link to join the workshops that are January 8th and January 9th on the comment section in YouTube. Thank you, everybody. And feel free to join the Zoom right now if you wish to workshop